most people aren't actually brave enough to stand up and show you the kinds of tools, techniques, graphs, dashboards that they actually use to run their businesses and give you some insight into what's actually happening on the ground today. And we're really fortunate to have Siqi Chen from Serious Business and David King from Little Green Patch, two of the leading social network game developers out there. We're going to walk you through kind of how they both use metrics to run their business. Now, I know I should be neutral and objective as your host, but I think this is actually the coolest thing you're going to see all day today. So they put, at times against their own will, quite a bit of time and energy into this presentation, and I think you're really going to enjoy what they have to say. So I'm going to turn it over to David and Siqi, and they're going to spend the next 35 to 40 minutes giving you both an overview of metrics and also talking to you about how well their companies use metrics on a day-to-day basis. So with no further ado, I'll turn it over to David and Siqi.
Everyone hear me pretty good? All right. So this was originally supposed to be 2 presentations. We were each going to share half an hour, but then we got together and thought, why don't we do 1 presentation? And then I asked him, what should we talk about? And we thought about it for a minute. It was like, what if we shared as much data about our company as we can? And he's like, how much data? I'm like, how about all of it? So that's pretty much what we're going to do. All right. So I'm Siqi Chen. I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Serious Business. We're best known for an app called Friends for Sale, where you buy and sell friends. And we have lots of pretty graphs to show you. And David.
My name is... Hello? All right. Well, my name is David King, and I run a company called Green Patch. We're most famous for the Little Green Patch property, which you may have seen. It's kind of a virtual world for green. And we actually have a network of other games, so we hit the MMO category a lot, and just some other stuff that we're working with, always experimenting and tinkering.
Cool. Okay, so let's get something out of the way. So we had a long discussion about whether we should even talk about metrics at all. Because we really don't want this to be social games is all about metrics. You can make something really crappy, and you add the RLE into it, and you got something great. So metrics are what metrics are is a really useful tool. It's a force multiplier. But you need to have something to multiply first, meaning that you need to have a good game. And so metrics won't replace a good product.
Look at this dude's
Nor
shoes.
will replace having great creativity and design. And you can't replace qualitative metrics, which we probably measure here in space. Things like user sentiment, surveys, community feedback. All of those things are important. Metrics are just one component, but it is a really important component in this space.
And I'd say so, especially at this early stage in the evolution of social gaming. So if you look at it, we're sort of like, first inning, second inning, and we're looking at this, there's like the video game people trying to figure out the social web, and there's the social people trying to figure out like how do you actually make a video game. And we're sort of all kind of poking and noodling around the same area. And if we, being kind of more the metrics people, don't actually give real cred and appreciation to all of the fantastic, really great game design and content and art and all the stuff that makes, traditional games, in video games great, like we're actually gonna short sell kind of what our potential could be. So the thing is, we're gonna talk a ton about metrics here, as we're giving the disclaimer that we know this is not the only thing in the world.
Yeah.
It's an important part, especially at this early stage. So given that, let's talk more.
So the target audience for this talk is actually not web people, as most social games people are. This is probably metrics 101 if you're a native web person. It's more for the game designers who are really trying to figure out what is this morality thing and how is it actually done. And so we want to give you a brief view into how we think about metrics and how it's actually done in real life. Okay, so the structure of it is I'm going to talk a lot about user acquisition metrics and show you some of the tools and processes that we use to optimize those. And David is going to actually dig into the metrics he uses to optimize actual gameplay. Because what's interesting about social game space that you can't do in traditional games is that it's highly iterative, right? You launch a shrink wrap software and you really can't iterate. You don't know necessarily when thousands of users are really getting stuck. And in a live application, when 100,000 users are using a web service, you can actually dynamically tune it all the time. So let me start with a high-level overview. What is the business social games? It's really simple. You you have a lifetime value of a user. A user comes in, over the lifetime, they're going to pay you some amount of revenue in virtual goods. And you subtract that by the cost of actually acquiring that user. And you times it by some scale, and that's your profit. It's pretty simple. Where it gets complicated is how to optimize each of those factors, your lifetime value, your user acquisition costs. And what's even more tricky is that these variables are actually not independent. For example, your user acquisition cost will almost certainly go up with scale. It's harder to get viral at scale. It's harder to acquire a user for the same amount of dollars spent per dollar at scale. So when it becomes important to optimize your metrics such that you can actually reduce your user acquisition costs and increase your lifetime value. So how can you actually increase your reduce your user acquisition costs, and increase your lifetime value? Well, one of the most well-known ways, it's probably the easiest way to decrease your user acquisition costs, potentially down to zero, is virality. But there's other factors like retention actually has a dramatic effect on virality. If users come back every week, they have some probability of referring more users, and that actually decreases your user acquisition costs over time. And then there's also cross-promotion, traditional marketing, etc. Factors that affect your lifetime value. More than anything else, it's just the quality of your game, how much people like it. The quantitative metrics for that are retention, how often people come back, how many of your users are actually staying, the quality of the app, the flow of the game. If you're an RPG, are people getting stuck? Is it getting frustrating? Mechanics, theme, and also, quite significantly, as we found recently, your choice of payment options and how you target them to particular users has a dramatic effect on revenue. I think what inspired us to actually start testing is, there's a quote from the CEO of Gameforge where they said they have something like 300 different payment options internationally, and every single one they saw incremental increase in revenue, and that's pretty much exactly what we saw as well. So